Hey, so in this video, I want to share with you a really simple Zap for adding new clients into Pixie. If you're not using a proposal tool like Go Propose or Practice Ignition or any of the other tools out there, and you simply want to add new clients into Pixie by sending them something simple like an onboarding questionnaire. So what I've done here is that I've built an onboarding questionnaire using Google Forms. You could build this using a number of different form builders. There's a few like Woohoo Forms and a couple of other ones as well, SurveyMonkey, Typeform. They all have Zapier integrations. It's just worth checking out on the Zapier marketplace all the form apps that are available. In fact, I can probably show you this very quickly right now. I should probably have had this ready beforehand, but if I just come into Zapier and explore and then search here for form. You can see here there's loads: Typeform, Google Forms, Gravity Forms, Cognito Forms. There's literally like hundreds to choose from. So once you've chosen one of these, then all you need to do is build out what that initial onboarding form looks like. So this is for new clients, right? This is for somebody that's not already in your Pixie workspace. So I've just created a really simple example here, called it an onboarding questionnaire. I've got the name of the business, their email address, the first, last name of the contact, phone number, some kind of ID, reference number, depending on where you are in the world. Those requirements are going to be different, and then also the birthday as well. So this is a form that you could obviously build out yourself depending on the type of information that you need to collect. But once you've got that form built out, what you can then do is set up a Zap that looks like this, so that when the form registers a response, and it will place that response in a spreadsheet in Google, it should automatically have a connection to a response sheet. Then you're going to set up that response as a trigger, so that Google Forms new response in spreadsheet is the trigger. We've selected our spreadsheet here in the worksheet as well, and then we've tested the trigger so that it's picked up one of the examples that I've used to submit the form. You can see here I've used the example of Harry's Barbers. The next step is to then create the client in Pixie. So the event you want to choose is create update client. The account we've already selected. And then the action is going to be pulling in the name of the company from the Google form. And we're going to leave the client ID blank. And the reason we're going to leave that blank is because Pixie will create an ID for this client automatically. So leave that field blank. You don't need to put any information in there. But the two other fields that are required are the client manager and the client type. So what I would recommend is just picking one client manager who will just get all the new clients assigned to them automatically. And then if they need to reassign them, they can do. And then for client type, there's two ways to do this. The first is just to default select them all as limited companies and then change afterwards. Obviously, if you're in the USA and you're watching this, it's going to be S Corp, C Corp, etc. But what you could also do is you could create a new client type in Pixie, and you could call this something like new client, assign client type. So for example, if I go to settings, client types, I want to call this one, oops, so move this video out of the way. New client, assign type. Yep, I want to confirm. And then if I go back to Zapier, and I'm just going to refresh this page here, so refresh these fields. That should have done, which means that if I go back up to my client type, fingers crossed it works. You can see here I've got new client assigned type. So what that will do is it will assign that as a client type, and then you'll know in Pixie that these are the people that you need to assign the correct company type to. Primary contact information, we're going to leave that blank, so I'm going to do that in a separate step. And then any other information you've passed through from your form, just add it in here. Just make sure that you've got those fields set up in Pixie first. So if you go to client fields, any fields that are on your form rather, just make sure you've got a corresponding field for them set up in Pixie. Once that's done, we're going to save this step. We're going to test it just to make sure it works. It should fire a client across into your Pixie workspace. And then the third and final step is to then add a contact to that client. So the event is to add an update, a contact. The action for the client ID, this time we're able to pull that through because the client's been created. So Pixie has created an ID for it. So if I click on step number 2, show all options, you can see the client ID here that's been created, and we can use that in this step so that when Pixie creates this contact, it knows which client the contact belongs to. And then I've just added in the rest of the information. So I've added in the first name, I've added in their last name, the email address, the phone number, the birth date, anything else that you wanted to capture, you can map that in there. And then again, once you're done, just test it, make sure it all works. And what you should be left with is a nice and simple way of sending out forms and questionnaires to prospective clients or new clients that you can get them to complete. And then that information will automatically be populated into Pixie for you. So really great way of onboarding new clients if you're not already using some kind of proposal software. Another way that this could be really useful is during a discovery call process. So if you're speaking to a prospect and you want to capture some information about their business and set them up in Pixie as a prospect afterwards, then you could use a similar form like this. And then when you set them up in Pixie, you would select the client type as prospect, for example. So there's a few different applications for this, but hopefully you get a feel for how it should be set up using this video.